Welcome, everyone, to John and Dylan Online. I am Dylan Gott. Joining me is John Hastings, and this week we are discussing Kimbo Slice.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking today about Kevin Ferguson. He's so much less intimidating when you use his real name. Who knocked out that guy? Kevin Ferguson did. Yeah, he did.
So, I guess what did you think about Kimbo Slice coming into this?
I just assumed that a guy who was famous for knocking people out on the internet would be a real piece of shit, and it just turned out he was like, well, he's a man who found his calling and was represented by the porn company Reality Kings. So let me ask you this question, ladies and gentlemen: what's not to fucking like about Kimbo Slice? You know what I'm saying? Also, he made Dana White eat his fucking words, which is around these parts. I love to see it. I love to see it.
Yeah, Kimbo Slice is for those of you, here's a short version of his life story. He starts out, he's a football player, then
Yes.
bouncer, and then from our previous lives, John, we would expect one thing to happen.
A representative from the World Wrestling, depending on the year, it would still be World Wrestling. I'm going to say World Wrestling Entertainment would say, "Excuse me, sir, would you like to pretend that you're able to bring ghosts into the squared circle for 6 to 8 months, and then you're going to get a pill addiction and be dead?"
Exactly.
Do I?
So here's what happens. Basically, he's a bouncer, and I didn't know this going into it, but the first guy he fights. So, did you watch the first fight this guy had? Have you
No.
watched any of his backyard fights?
I haven't watched any of the backyard fights in years. I watched them in 2007. I went to a house party next door. Some neighbors are like, "Come by, we're having a house party." And the house party was a bunch of guys talking about Japanese denim and watching Kimbo Slice fights. I left after 2 hours because there was an implication of some sort of crack smoking about to start happening. And I interrupted my two roommates who were a couple having sex on the sofa. And I made the note as they like rushed into the room. I was like, "Thanks for putting a sheet down on the sofa. That's very considerate," which I thought was interesting. I always remember that being like, "That's nice." It's weird that they're having sex in a public space, but it was nice that they're like, "Let's make sure our assholes aren't directly on the old sofa."
So, Kimbo Slice, the first fight he gets into is a guy who's like known in the neighborhood as being the toughest dude around.
Can I just say Miami sounds fucking Miami sounds like
Crazy.
a small town to city. Like it's literally just sort of like how many people live here? Based on the amount of weirdness, you'd think it's about 45, but it is actually 2 million. Like they have local bullies in the neighborhood. Watch out or Bill will say something to you. You know
I mean, they're not bullies, John. They're
He sounds like a bully.
big old gangs.
Oh fuck, of course. The gang.
And they're not bullies. That's what if your first time listening, if you didn't know we're Canadian, then John just told on us because like, oh, I guess there's local bullies afoot.
Yeah, we don't have gangs in Canada. We just have dads that are in beer league hockey, and they are as violent and as dangerous as a gang.
They body check in beer league hockey. That's what happened. That's our equivalent of gangs. I remember someone asking me, he was from the South, and he asked me, how dangerous is Toronto? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. There's like gangs. And he said, oh, gangs. And he was making fun of me even saying gangs. So I was like, okay, well, I get it. I get what you're saying here.
Yeah, I mean, like I live in Los Angeles, and there's just like the thing with Los Angeles is it's so far down the other side where you're just like, hey, we're gonna get off the highway for 2 exits, and I'm just gonna fucking show you how others live. You know what I mean? Ow! That guy just hit a pigeon with an iPad. Yeah, he probably still has a job too.
So he fights the guy, and here's the special thing about the fight. Kimbo starts winning.
Go ahead.
The guy punches him a couple times, and Kimbo just goes, fucking punch me in the face. Keep in mind, this is the most feared man in the neighborhood in Miami. Guy full punches him as hard as he can in the face a couple times. Kimbo shrugs it off. I'm not done. Then Kimbo says, is that all you fucking got? And the guy who's gang adjacent goes, I quit. And Kimbo says, no. And they keep on fighting, which is without the context of knowing this dude fucked other people up, I was like, okay, so we found some random guy, made him fight on tape because Kimbo was like super tough. Because that's how these things work. They don't fucking, the dude, your dude's gonna win if you're fucking taping it. And then
Correct.
the guy goes, oh shit, I'm sorry. So that could be. To be honest, this is all essentially just gossip. So it could have been just like they found some dude to fight Kimbo and then made up this story about him. But this is a Dan Lebitard, who is a guy from Miami, has spoken on record about how this dude was tough as hell before Kimbo fought him. So continue, John. What were you saying?
Here's what I would say is that Kimbo Slice, before he did this, was a strip club bouncer in Miami. Him having to fight one guy is like, that's like, what a relaxing way to start my. But you understand, like, oh, I'm a bouncer at a strip club in Miami. Well, what's your craziest story? A guy threw a goat at me. What? Where did he get a goat? Well, that's your first question. You know what I'm saying? Like, you understand? Like, yeah, no shit. Kimbo Slice probably also has a fucking rock hard jaw, and he's just one of those guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, this guy lived in a Pathfinder for 2 years. He's tough. Let's get to it. You know what I mean? He has no cardio, and his move is I'll punch you 3 times, and I'm kind of intimidating. But if you can withstand that, you win.
He does. He does exactly what you're saying. He has the international look of this guy's fucking terrifying. He has fucking grill. He has a do-rag on, and even though he's very bald. He's found a very cool way to cover up his baldness that I'm gonna steal. And and he's jacked as hell. The other thing about every fight after this is him just knocking out a fat guy, though.
Correct. It's one of those things where
he's like, and he talks about on concrete, which always makes me uncomfortable.
This is a weird thing to say, which is every decade has a butterbean. Like, it's the weird thing is not every decade has a Wayne Gretzky, but every decade has like he's a like a kind of out of shape guy who just knocks people out. The 90s had Butterbean, the 2000s had Kimbo Slice, the 2010s had John and Dylan. Ow, 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 ow.
Well, the 2010s had just fucking the UFC, where it turns out, oh yeah, sometimes guys. This is the other thing. It's like sometimes fat guys have just fat hands, or they're good at transferring power. And there's a long lineage of guys who are 5'10" and 240 pounds and just are faster than the tall guys. Anyway, Kimbo Slice is like one of the first people to go viral, and it's not even on YouTube. He's going viral before YouTube.
He's going viral on weird video sites that you had to be really careful. Like every link you clicked was just like, what's this going to be? What's this going to be? What's this going to be? What's like, it's like, it could be a guy getting punched in the face, or it could be a woman having diarrhea, shitting in a jar, and then getting murdered. Like, just like, who the fuck knows, man? It is the internet before YouTube.
Oh yeah. But he's exactly what you want out of a guy who kicks the shit out of people. He looks like he's gonna kick the shit out of people, so it's like confirmation bias, right? He's this big fucking jack dude. There's also videos of him even before him knocking the shit out of people, where there's this one crazy video where a guy just fucking gets $100 to get hit by Kimbo, and they're both wearing football pads. So a guy throws him a pass, and then basically throws him a pass, just basically trying to get the guy to extend his arms just so Kimbo can flatten him. And Kimbo fucking murders this dude. Like one of the craziest sounds you've heard, because it's just like a guy who works a regular job against Mr. Steroids, the bouncer.
Let me ask you this question. Is it also something with Kimbo's like immediate popularity was the UFC was sort of in a lull in the 2000s? Like that is the
this is before the UFC is this is before the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, is this before the Ultimate Fighter? Yeah, this is before the Ultimate Fighter. So no, is it? It's either way, it's very early in the rise of the UFC. And it's this weird sort of alternative, because the other thing that like no one talks about is like boxing fell apart in the like Mike Tyson bit Evander Holyfield, and everyone was like, I don't know, we don't do this anymore. Like that's the thing, is like people get pissed off about Jake Paul, and it's like, bro, no one gave a shit about boxing for 20 years. Shut the fuck up and get me Burt Sugar. And it's the sort of same thing about the UFC. And in the weird way, Kimbo Slice sort of benefited from there being a vacuum, because people, let's be honest, want to see people punch each other in the face. And if you can provide that content, get yourself a bank account, my friend, because you're going to need a place to put your money. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If you can figure out, stand-up comedy is interesting because it's the closest you get to like, this guy's going to be very funny, but if you're really lucky, he's going to call someone a fucking bitch. You know
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I
yeah. If you
mean?
get really lucky, then Michael Richards is gonna happen.
Exactly. If you're the most lucky, then you get to be there for the birth of yet another Tracy Morgan based controversy.
So this is what I'm saying is like he's 2005 is when Kimbo like gets starts getting into fighting.
Good.
2004 is his loss to Sean Gannon, who was a
That's right.
cop who that's one of the most frustrating fights to watch because it's like it's an amazing fight because it's like no rounds, they're just fighting with some dudes around him. But Sean Gannon gets him in a choke, and then Kimbo's team breaks it up and goes, "That's not allowed." And then immediately after, Kimbo takes him down, which is like, okay, I thought there was no grappling, but anyway.
Yeah, no, no, you don't understand. It's no grappling for the other guy,
Yes, exactly.
which becomes a theme in Kimbo Slice's career, by the way.
Ooh.
Oh,
But
fuck
this is why
you.
this is what's so dope is like 2004, the Ultimate
Uh-huh.
Fighters 2005, 2006, the UFC as an organization might fold.
That's so interesting. It's so true. The UFC, much like so many things run by bald assholes, have so many opportunities to fail, and they just fucking keep going.
But Kimbo
It's
just based off these YouTube videos of knocking out fat guys rises crazy. Obviously, he's going to fight people and then they start like hand picking his opponents throughout MMA,
yeah, of
which
course.
yeah, of course
Also,
they're going to.
what's also very interesting is you also look at this now is like how much fucking shade Dana White in this time in the early press conferences started throwing towards Kimbo Slice. Like in hindsight, it looks like the legitimate promotion pissing down on the internet guy, but in the moment, what you actually realize is it's the inverse. It's like the scrappy upstart, the ultimate fighting championships going after the sport's biggest guy, which makes the UFC in context so much more insane. Where it's like, who was the face of your sport in the 2000s? A black man who was featured in a lot of orgy porn videos.
Just there.
Yeah,
Like you said, he's just in the video. Not
he
he's not
did.
performing, he's just going like, I'm fucking here, man.
He's in the large SUV limousine and then escorts the ladies into the VIP section of the club where they then have an orgy. Do I need to explain art to you, Dylan? I didn't think I did.
But that's who has money around him, right? Is all the poor guys. So it's like, of course, that's going to be the guys who fucking. And also, he's got to kind of keep it scummy.
It's Miami, baby. Like, I need money to train to be a backyard fighter. Well, do you want to work for a cocaine syndicate or pornographers? Trick question. They're the same guys. It's
So
just which one of the twins do you want to work for? You know what I mean? The reasonable one, he's the cocaine one, or the creepy one. He's the money one. Just kidding. He's the porn one. Of course, he's the porn.
but like, Kimbo's already lost to Sean Gannon in that fight. They get exhausted, and that's exactly you're exactly right. What happens throughout his fighting career is the guy just gets fucking exhausted fast. That's what he does.
So
He's always
funny.
tired real fast.
What's so weird about Kimbo Slice too is they always talk about how he's like he started fighting when he was 42, and it's like no, I think he was dead by the time he was 42. He just looks really old. He was in his like early 30s, late 20s. Two, they act like his fighting career was like he was a blip. It's so much longer, and he just never addresses the fact that he's like he has. When I say he has no cardio, I mean like he got winded because they played his entrance music. And it's like he will.
He
Not
is
do
involved
leg
in the
day.
greatest UFC fight of all time. Him against Houston Alexander, where they got, and these are professional athletes, obviously. And I don't want to say like I would be exhausted by the time I walked to the cage. But they both try and like be instead of just being brawlers, which they were, they both try and like do technical fighting, which involves a
Come
lot of
on,
like backing.
yawn.
Which if you walk forward, this is sounds silly, but like walk forward and then walk backwards and see how much more tiring walking backwards is. So they're both like, so Houston Alexander's trying to walk backwards, and in walking backwards just exhausts himself. And then Kimbo Slice is also exhausted. So like it's like 2 minutes into the fight, they're both so fucking tired, and then they just gotta walk around each other. And people forget that a lot when they talk about Kimbo. Forget how like, oh yeah, they were just like walking at each other. Kimbo
Yeah.
slams him, but
Congratulations. Well, the thing with anything that comes from the internet is watch out. It's not what it seems. Like it's always like, hey, do you want to see this amazing guy punch people in the face? By the way, there's some caveats. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's the same thing that anyone who launched off of a traded tape in the 90s or late 80s, you're like, Oh, that's fake. Like how it's like since come out that Bam Margera, all the stuff with his family was all faked. And you're
What?
like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like all the stuff from like CKY and stuff like that. And you're like, people,
Really
yeah,
obvious thing? I don't know.
yeah, like all the people that we know who like they're married and they do not like each other. So the husband really spends a lot of time in a basement that's unfinished. That guy's like, not our Bam. Not
Not Bam. So Kimbo fights some people. They're old.
can I ask a
Yes.
question about that fight? That fight happens after Elite XC, yes? Or
What
before?
happens?
The fight you're just talking about where two tired men just tire each other out.
Oh,
walking.
that's like his last fight.
Okay. So I want to just the big sort of moment that we have to cover here on the cast is the Elite XC is sort of his big controversial moment because his opponent was basically told, do not go on the mat. We need to protect our main draw for this promotion. It's an interesting thing of in the sort of wake of the Ultimate Fighter being a surprise, not surprise hit because they just existed in the wake of WWE and men with arm fat are not changing that channel. You know what I'm saying? They're like,
That's goddamn right we aren't.
and yeah, goddamn right. Well, wait a minute. The thing that I was just watching, but minus the soap opera plus definite concussions, muted. I'm also going to watch pornography.
Yeah, I gotta have something on while I jack off, and it might as well be
Exactly correct.
men
I want to have someone
fighting.
to compete against. No. Oh, you may have won that fight, Chuck Liddell, but I just nutted. So who's the real winner? Ironically, a video featuring Kimbo Slice.
So Kimbo
Bimbo.
fights Ray Mercer, knocks him out. He's 46 at the time. Fights James Thompson. They give James Thompson, looking back at the fight, at the time of MMA people who were so pumped to watch this dude lose were like, James Thompson should have won, and they like stood him up a bunch. It was very good. Elite XC basically.
Elite XC sounds like if a
Ni-
video game of
Yeah.
the MMA came to life. Like it's literally like Kimbo Slice is our main champion. You cannot defeat him. It's Mike Tyson's Punch Out, but with do rags. Ow, 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 ow.
They just very nakedly. The funny thing is, if Kimbo happened now, there's a bare
Right.
knuckle league, so they would be able to like make Kimbo
Oh.
actually successful in the
He'd
thing
be
he's
the-
good at.
Sir, he'd be the Hulk Hogan of slap fights, which is so
It's
nuts. That's a
crazy.
thing. Like
Well, yeah.
we were talking about how the NFL needs to be regulated because of the concussions, and it's like smash cut 5 years later, and it's just like, what's on the WB? Oh, two people making it so they do not know how to drive home.
Yeah, car versus skull.
Penis
Skull
versus
lost
blender.
again.
Yeah,
Car's undefeated 68 weeks in a row. Do it next week. See if Skull will win.
yeah. Flame versus asshole.
So Kimbo, Elite XC more than any promotion is just like, yeah, nakedly we're just gonna make Kimbo win.
Yeah,
And then he fights Seth Petrozelli. Now, how that happens is Ken Shamrock's supposed to fight him. Ken Shamrock bonks his noggin, which is the most Ken. Basically, they're like, who is barely able to be sanctioned, even by the most crooked athletic commission? Ken Shamrock. He's 65 years old. He's bleeding already because you said the word fight, and he actually thinks his name is is Rick. He thinks he's Rick. So he fights supposed to fight Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock donks his noggin, opens up one of his many wounds. They've put in Seth Petrozelli. Seth Petrozelli, and it cannot be stated like this, looks like a victim. Like
Yes.
he looks like a dude from Newfound Glory. And he looks like a pop punk guy, and he's facing the
does.
scariest looking man of all time. Kimbo comes across the stage. Seth Petrozelli literally, for those of you who don't fight, you have to see it. Everything about it is horrible for Kimbo. He gets up on one foot, his back is against the cage. Kimbo comes in to try and take him down. Seth Petrozelli just puts his left hand out. They say it's a jab, but really he just, out of fear, puts his left hand out, knocks him unconscious. Like, Kimbo also bonks himself on the head like Kim Shamrock did and is knocked completely unconscious in like 10 seconds. There's a famous video of Joe Rogan watching it where he goes, yeah, Seth Petrozelli, Kimbo Slice, Seth Petrozelli, I've got to say he's going to fuck him up. And then he goes and go like, oh, crazy. He just goes, yeah, I knew that would happen. Because it's like everyone in MMA, the other thing about at this time, and this is what Brock Lesnar brought to MMA, was everyone wanted MMA to not be like proven to be dumb.
Yeah.
And if Kimbo was actually good at it, it would have proven that MMA was dumb.
That's a very, very interesting and good point. Is that it's MMA kind of gave us a preview of millennial brodom, which is everything has to have some fucking long ass health benefits, spiritual explanation. Why do you do jujitsu? Two hot girls broke up with me in high school, and I'm going to get revenge on the world. Is the reason. But
Yeah.
what you're going to say is like, because cognitively, it actually activates the proteins in my third eye, and then you're just like, I fucking want to slit your throat, man. Like, just fuck you, but
Yeah,
also
which
tell me more.
yeah, which now it's like wrapped up in self-improvement and optimization or some bullshit. But back then it was just like,
Separating
oh,
the
that
lampstands.
freak thing that losers do. So
Exactly.
Newfound Glory knocks out fucking the scariest man alive and folds the entire. And not only when he knocks him out, not only does that do a lot of damage, that's what everyone thinks happened. The real damage he did is he got on a radio show and
This is the
said
thing.
they
Name the
paid me
radio
extra
show.
money to keep
Name
it.
the fucking radio show. He goes on Monsters in the Morning in Orlando, Florida.
Which is crazy that people were tracking that shit. Monsters in the Morning in Orlando, Florida is
Fuck
perfect. You're here with Ballsack and the Jizz.
Yeah, welcome to my name is Jimmy, and that is Brown Chris.
Yeah, only one of them has a nickname. My name is
always.
James Reynoldson, and that is Pussy
Bro.
Pussy Butthole.
You were looking at someone who used to write for the morning radio show Aaron and Tasso.
Ooh.
Yeah, Tasso was supposed to be an irate Greek man.
Hey, whoa, hey, there's not enough baklava in this sentence. Now there is.
I mean, that's a lot closer than I'm really comfortable with agreeing with for someone that was really nice to me. Also, let me tell you how checked out that guy was. He had a full espresso machine in the studio. So you're in a commercial, he's making you coffee.
That's good stuff, actually.
It was the most nuts thing I've ever seen. I've never seen two people more be like, yeah, we're friends. And then there was a silence in that room, baby. Holy shit.
Well, they had to think about what they're doing.
No, they were not thinking about that.
They were thinking about. So Kimbo gets knocked out very easily.
Oh, what?
And that's kind of it. Like, he's embarrassed because they go on record saying he was paid extra to keep the fight standing and then got knocked out.
In fairness, by the way, he corrected the record when he realized that was admitting to fraud, because Dana White posted on an anonymous YouTube account a bunch of different reaction takes, because I don't think ESPN wanted to air this edited weird new metal music video Dana White produced of him like being like, well, that's fucking fraud. And it just absolutely kills Elite XC. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, they had all of their money wrapped up in Kimbo Slice, and then he got knocked out by the bassist from fucking Alien Ant Farm.
Can't believe the fucking guy who plays drums in Papa Roach beat the face of reality.
But at least if he was kind of intimidating, they could have been like, let's get this guy. But like 12, Seth Petrozelli literally lost out of the UFC.
Yeah, he coughed on him and killed him. I understand.
Yeah.
But may I just say, though, but it's not like that ended, like people act like that, well, that ended Kimbo Slice's career. He's on the Ultimate Fighter a year later. Like, it's also that.
Oh, no, it ended Elite XC. It ended.
I know, I understand, but I'm letting you know, like, the narrative that as is presented in sort of the, like, looking back, when people talk about Kimbo Slice, he's presented way more like a joke than someone that was on the season of the Ultimate Fighter that's considered the best, and like was such a draw, by the way, that when he was eliminated, they're just like, he's going to keep working out with the team, which is just like basically being like, we had to eliminate him because weirdly game shows are very heavily regulated in the United States, but medication isn't. And also second, he's getting fucking eyeballs, so he's going to be fucking doing legs in the background of every fucking episode.
Oh, no, he was the first fight in the Ultimate Fighter, and he got beat up by a big fat guy. That was the other thing. It was everything was made to embarrass him because he was like a threat to Dana White. He comes on the Ultimate Fighter for like no money.
Yeah.
They get the biggest ratings they've ever got because it's Kimbo Slice. And then he's put up knowingly against Roy Nelson, who is a great fighter, but also eyeball test. Literally, Roy Nelson has a slightly better version of my body.
Yeah.
It's like a more together fat, point. But he's got a fucking, he doesn't even have the full mullet yet. He has like a perm, and he just, and all he does is tackle him and literally puts his belly in his mouth, and then he just punches him like this. And Rampage Jackson says the best thing where Kimbo is sad, and then Rampage goes, come on, man, don't be sad. How are you going to move when I got the moon on you? Which is good.
I can say this also, by the way, is no one talks about how fucking charming Rampage Jackson is just as a coach on The Ultimate Fighter. Second of all, I'm going to say this. Roy Nelson, that is his name. He just has your body when you got pandemic fit. Like that's exactly like that's all it is. And C, I hate Dana White, but I love Dana White's pettiness because I love that he's like, we're putting him on the show. We're going to get a guy who looks like he doesn't work at an Arby's, but he knows the staff by name, but he doesn't have a set order. So he always has to explain what he wants. And he's going to beat the shit out of him. Is there any fucking questions? If someone put on Buck Cherry, I need to think.
Yeah, but that was the thing. That was the whole show. Roy Nelson wins the entire show. He knocks out Brendan Schaub in the end. But, which is so funny that Roy Nelson defeated the old internet and then defeated the new
That's
internet.
so funny. Roy Nelson.
And in the middle, he beat up Mr. Beast.
Well, he took out two different popular Reddit threads. The next thing is, who is this ring girl? Nicole Arbor, the girl from the Dear Fat People video.
Yeah. Just some right-wing trolls.
Yeah.
Who was that? What was that girl's name who everyone hated? Ann Coulter. When Ann Coulter came out against Trump and then fucked her whole shit up. That was bad. We should do an Ann Coulter in it, but anyway, go for it.
My favorite Ann Coulter moment ever is when she said that Canada participated in the Vietnam War. She said it on the CBC National, and because Canadians are so fucking petty as a people, it's really, really enjoyable. And the smug look on this journalist is just that we didn't go to Vietnam. She went, yeah, you did. And he just went, look it up. And I just remember being like, oh, I feel uncomfortable. I agree with him and I feel uncomfortable on her behalf. And I'm watching this on television. Whoa.
So, yeah, Kimbo loses to Matt Mitrione. He loses to Houston Alexander in the aforementioned tire themselves out fight. And he has a reality show called what was it, Slice of Love or some shit, where it's like him and just his family. But it's like the crazy thing about the bare knuckle guy who has six different kids is that his life is just kind of too boring for a reality show. It's just a guy being like, and then I'm gonna take a fight, and then I'm working, but I want to be near my kids anyway. Do you guys want to get this? This sandwich is kind of hard. No, it's very easy actually.
Hey.
Okay. I manage my money well too, and I'm not anyway, the other stuff that's actually interesting can't show because it's literally just me producing pornography, but yeah, anyway.
And I'm pretty respectful to those women. Like they don't like it, but when I walk in, I actually make them put on more clothing. But I take off clothing to really confuse them.
Yeah, I brought 6 separate ball gowns for you in your orgy.
Here's the thing with Kimbo Slice is Kimbo Slice proves that if you move, for lack of a better term, the Overton window, anyone can be normal. Is that Florida is so full of like breeding pythons, crocodiles, and alligators. A variety of different tigers and panthers are becoming wild there because people buy them as pets and they didn't escape. And then just, man, like Florida is so nuts that Kimbo Slice is a boring dad. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's this guy do? Well, I beat people up in backyard barbecues that are controlled by the following gangs, Latin Kings, or Crips. Not the Bloods, they're barbecues. Far too good for cage fighting. The rest of the week, I am taking kids to soccer practice, and I am very interested in that. My other daughter does ultimate frisbee. That's mostly what I talk about. And while he's saying that, the producer
yeah, exactly.
suicide. Like literally is like, I hate this so much, I no longer want to live, and dives off of an American Idol billboard, but survives because she lands on a promotional truck promoting The Voice. Also, challenge for 2024, everybody, I'm throwing this gauntlet down. I want to organically find out about one person that, not even one, just was on The Voice. No one talks about this. That show has been on for so long. Not one famous person produced. What's going on?
They like the money from the texting.
That's a good point.
Text us at our phone call. Just here's our text number. It's John. Give your Venmo. By giving us money, you vote in a thing about giving us more money. Anyway, here's the thing that actually no one talks about. Bellator. He gets signed to Bellator MMA, which is also a CBS property. They do a fight with Ken Shamrock. Then they have him fight a guy named Dada 5000, who it's like, okay, we're doing MMA, but this is Dada 5000 is another dude from the street. What happens during that fight, John?
I believe
they literally get so tired.
Oh my god, yeah, they get so tired and Dada bleeds out and they just end the fight? Is that what happened?
They get
Yeah.
so tired. Dada misses a punch and falls down. Big John McCarthy calls the fight off. Dada 5000's heart stops and he is dead, but then comes back to life. And then as a result of that fight, Kimbo Slice dies. They kill 2 people.
Holy. That's not what killed Kimbo Slice.
Kimbo Slice had a heart issue. Do you think a heart issue was exacerbated by the fact that they fucking just wouldn't stop a fight? You have to see how tired these people are.
Mother of God. That fight happens in April and his heart explodes by June.
Yeah, man. He gets back in the gym too early and he kills him. Yeah, man. And Dada 5000's like heart stops. It's just it's criminal negligence. And this happens all the time in fucking fighting.
The world, the 2010s, everything is evil. Like nothing good like it's literally like, well, it's a good thing Red Bull was invented in 2006, or it would be made from the blood of children that were killed for TV. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
Oh, we're making a competitor to the UFC, and one of the most popular fights is going to result in the death of 2 people. Miraculously, one of them is brought back from the dead, and now Big John McCarthy, the former LAPD officer and only competent referee in MMA, is hunting him.
Oh yeah, well it's like, hey, I got an idea. I was watching this movie where a bunch of kids go on an island and kill each other. What if that was real? You mean the movie? You watched the movie Battle Royale? Yes, and now you want to make it happen? Yes.
No one.
Oh wait, how about this? I hunt the kids.
No one.
Also, they're 3.
Fucking dystopian it is that it's like Squid Game is the #1 show on Netflix. We are going to make a real Squid Game. Hey, can you not do that? Because that's literally just basically like you read James Joyce's stupid fucking thing about how the English should eat the Irish, and they were like, well, I know how to fucking solve this fucking post-Brexit economy. Time to start eating people named Dermot.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so that's my whole. That's the one thing the connection was exactly like he has that fight in April and then his heart explodes. When in reality, it's like obviously he had a pre-existing heart condition that was probably exacerbated by his steroid use. John, continue.
First of all, he had the fight in February. They announced another fight in April. So can you
okay? So we had 4 months off.
Exactly correct. He had 4 months off. And by the way, they found so many different traces of steroids. He had 4 months off, probably just cycling through whatever it is makes a kangaroo look like Brock Lesnar.
100%. This guy's doing roids. But that's the thing is the legacy of Kimbo Slice, I would say, is he's in these backyard fights. He's a pro wrestler's version of what a fighter is, in which he looks exactly like. That's the crazy thing to me. I'm like, why didn't this dude just get into wrestling?
Dylan, I have a question for you. What amount?
Because he's nice, but he looks intimidating. That's perfect for wrestling. It's like he'll agree to win and lose. He doesn't give a fucking shit. Sorry.
How much money does our Patreon have to get to that we do 3 cycles of steroids and then fight each other? No training. No training.
We would need thousands and thousands of dollars.
Correct, but whatever it is in the thousands, we're putting 50% towards anabolic steroids. That amount of money, put the 50 aside, and then 25 of that amount each we take that amount of cycles of anabolic steroids. You can do any type of exercise that is not training for a fight, and then we have ourselves a fight. Kegels, of course, tight Kegels. Everyone's
I'm gonna do 8 months of Kegels. I don't know. I've been doing Kegels for a whole year. I don't see any improvement.
Yeah. I'm gonna do
except I can hold my piss for months.
I'm gonna do that weird butt clenching exercise that people did in movies. For a little bit, they were just clenching their butts. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do 4 cycles of fucking HGH and just get the fucking tightest cheeks, just like loose everywhere else.
Won't that be huge? Because it'll be human growth hormone. If you took HGH, you may not be able to wear shirts anymore. Your head would get so big. Oh my god. As Kai Humphreys once said to me, he went, "You should do 2 cycles. You'd look fucking medieval." This is that there's no better scumbags than Geordie scum. The best people in the world are Geordies from outside of Newcastle. First time in Blythe, saw twin brothers who steal people's doors. What the fuck is up? Stealing doors. Anyway, yeah, he's a good guy. Obviously sorry for his family's loss. It fucking like
Thank you
What
for
the fuck
apologizing.
is fucking 42 years old to lose a guy like that? But
Toulouse is such a surprisingly good man. You know what I'm saying? Like
well, he literally was like, you look behind, it makes the guy easier to work with, but you're kind of also like, oh, be kind of like, okay. It'd be better if you're a bit chaotic. And he's like, oh, I know about chaos, buddy. I made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, peach jelly. I'm a fucking piece of shit.
you want to talk about fucking? You want to talk about being a fucking maverick? I once reversed half a block, get a parking spot.
Check this out. When I fucking when I'm in a parking lot, I pull in head first every time. That's dumb. I should back in, take the extra couple minutes.
Oh my
I'm
god,
fucking crazy. I'm from the streets, bro.
you are a fucking father because there's no one. I don't know what happens when your cum creates life, but suddenly every dad has an unreasonable amount of fucking opinions on fucking parking. Holy shit! Just to be like, here's hey, whoa, we're not going in that lot. That's too chaotic. Let me tell you how you know someone has made life is they suddenly no put the car here. We'll walk through the parking lot. That's how you know a parent right there. And let me tell you what else is a parent. Some of you need to fucking give us to our Patreon, or we're gonna come to your houses and we're gonna Kimbo Slice you, bitch. Ow, 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 ow.
All right, let's do this. Let's talk about Mr. Beast next episode.
Oh my god. Okay, let me.
I got to learn about that guy.
I want. Can we have the energy that's been turned towards Brendan Schaub and Tom Segura turned towards Mr. Beast? That's what I would like to see.
Mr. fucking Yeast, more like it.
Mr. fucking Queef, bro.
Yeah, we're talking about Mr. Beast next. Take this, you fucking pussy. Right there.
Oh, we're going in on the Beast Man.
Oh. We're going in on Mr. Beast next week.
Mr. Beast is fucking Hank from the X-Men, motherfucker. We're coming for you, and your fucking briefcase is full of cash.